ready to rock and roll. All right, at least theoretically. Trying out some new things tonight, so we'll see what comes of that. Seems to me in the testing I did earlier that the audio sync isn't quite right, and I don't remember noticing that last time. So hopefully that's not. I'm not entirely sure why that would be the case, unless the it. Well, I mean, I'm using hardware encoding now, so clearly it should know the difference if it needed to adjust latency or something like that. But that is a very new thing. I was otherwise happy with how that all worked out, and we're trying a couple of other things here tonight, and if they pop, we'll see what happens, and hopefully all will go well. Man, that is just disconcertingly slow. Hang on, let me gotta make this window a little bit smaller. Okay. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens with that going forward. I'm also monitoring over here on the monitor the stream stats, which isn't something that I have done for a little while now. But I noticed that something I was playing with earlier, I was dropping frames due to rendering lag, which really shouldn't be the case. And it might be due to what we're playing with tonight, or maybe it's just kind of always been doing that, and I never really noticed. So we'll see. See what happens with that. For tonight's stream, we don't really have too much planned per se of a very specific nature. There's a couple of things that I wanted to work on, and then we see where things take us, because even the simplest ideas can often run us down through, the whole 2 hour time period. If you are watching live, let me know. I have a fan going back there, the same as last week, right about there in the background, swirling the air around because it's a little warm in here. It's a little cooler today than it has been, but we do what we can. Drinking hot beverages notwithstanding. Um, and we'll see where things take us as the evening progresses. So I think everything seems to be in order. I ever noticed that Mac OS has updates every Tuesday at about 8 p.m., like it's trying to stop me from using it as my live stream control panel. I think, yeah, we are good. Let's go ahead and just dive on into this business because I was a little bit late trying to figure out some really weird audio echoes I was having. And away we go. Hello, fellow Sublime Text Fanatics. OdatNurd here. Welcome back to another Sublime Text live stream for the princely day of July 28th, 2020. Sitting here in the old ODAT cave, we're going to work on a little bit of plugin development in Sublime. And as the title of the stream mentions, no definite plans. Streaming setup definitely seems to work, although I did not notice that there's maybe a slight audio sync. Maybe it's just me having to do with the headset while I was doing some test recording earlier. I tweaked a couple of little things, but I don't know that it necessarily did anything. I didn't want to mess things up too much. So hopefully that is not a problem. But apart from that, we got a couple of other things that could theoretically happen here. One would be a bot in the chat that may or may not spring in at any point and give a reminder of what it is we're working on tonight. It's very unclear how this thing is actually supposed to work. So we'll see what happens with that. And also, I've been sort of playing around a little bit with some animated overlay type stuff. Lower third, so somewhere over in that direction, every now and then something should slide up in to point out what it is that we're working on here in the stream and to remind you you have a question, go ahead and ask it. I may have an answer, I may not. The best case scenario is I have a good answer for your question. The worst case scenario is you watch me bumble and not understand the question at all or how to answer it. Those are the risks we run. The first thing that I wanted to do here is something that I've been meaning to do for since yesterday, but I was not able to carve out any time. But it is related to plugin development. Is the fact that the official documentation has, in some degree, changed, and in particular, that's what I use to drive this. There's also a couple of problems that I noticed with this. I don't have my paper handy, so I only think I'm only going to remember one of them. But I thought it might be an interesting view, if you will, into the how this whole operation goes with Snappy. So we're going to go ahead and fire up a terminal, and let's see. I have, let's see, sometimes this is a very simple thing and sometimes it is not. It looks like the CSS changed to some degree. But the help files that are in Snappy for all of the help that's currently there and some that aren't there yet, but I intend to be there at some point, actually come from a spidered copy of the official Sublime documentation. And I have a cron job that runs every day and downloads the latest version of the documentation. And it sends me a mail to tell me if, like this, it has been modified, and I can use this to see exactly what is different between one version and the other. So we might do, say, git diff API reference to see what all changed. And it seems like there may be a couple of things going here, some of which is CSS related and some of which is not. Oh, there's new documentation for some new classes in here. All right, so we got our open dialog. If that's the case, then perhaps we may not cover that fully tonight. Hello, whoops. Hello, Victor. Victor says, I searched how to install Snappy, but I didn't find it. I may have not gone through the right video. It seems in the video you just searched in control panel install. Yeah, there's actually, let me see here. There's a video on the channel that covers this as the package preview that has a link in it. But if I brought a browser window over here and remembered how to get to GitHub, what you have to do is, let's see, we don't care about a piano at this point in time, but there's this repository here. I will jump this in. Okay. This raw URL. I will paste this URL into the chatty type area, thus, and yeah, that should go. What you actually do is do package control, add repository, and then paste that JSON URL in whole into the box here, and that will add it to the list of packages. And then you can just say install package, and it'll show up in the list. It augments the official list of packages because it's not officially released as of yet. It's not going to show up for me by the time it eventually downloads this because I already have it installed. So yeah, and then in here you would be able to find it that way. So that's how that works. That same video on the channel, which I suppose I could do something like this. Something's happening in the background. I should add this video URL covers it in some detail as well, assuming that plugin actually does the correct thing. So it seems like there are sometimes the things that change in the documentation are just things like the CSS or some styling, but we actually have some actual new stuff that has been logged in here. So perhaps we might skip that for the time being and just play with the new API a little bit and see what it is we can do with it. What else was in that list? The CSS stuff is almost always simplistic like that. Well, it looks like build systems changed a little bit. That one's just a simple CSS change. And themes similarly, I'm sure. Yeah, themes.html. Doop. Yeah. More often than not, when this script triggers, this is the sort of thing that I see in here. The spider. And I'm not sure if it's something the Sublime devs are doing or something that wget does on its own, but sometimes it decides that the file name that it needs to use for the CSS should be different, even though the content of it seems to sometimes be the same. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. But if I hadn't closed that window, wow, that is bright, man. Let us do a little bit of, whoops, this. So what's the new magic in here? As of build 4075. See, this is way cooler than I thought it was originally. Present the user with a file dialog. I just played it with it very simply. I think this is going to be a window item. I think I just said, and then it said, yeah. Oh, whoops. It's probably Sublime. No. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, missing one required a positional argument. Right. I probably assumed that the single argument that it got was a callback that would get the name of the file or something. And it was, but it looks like there's other cool stuff that we could be doing. Hey, check it out. Streamlabs is actually doing a thing. That's cool. That's a new thing that I've been sort of fiddling with. We also have, oh, check it out. Okay, so we got quite a bit here. If the user cancels the dialog, none will be passed. Oh, I never played with that. So let's see. We cancel, we get none, right? File type. So you can, oh, nice, nice, nice. I had some nascent functionality for override audit that would generate diffs for overrides that you have in your packages. And in order to get that to work, it generates a stub file into a view and gives it a base file name that you could save if you wanted to, because there was no way to prompt for something. But now there totally is, so that's nice. Use the directory of the current view, multi-select. Oh, great. So this is actually, I wonder if allow folders allows you to kit files too. Let's play around with this a little bit. I'm going to scoot this over to this window for just a moment. Whoops. If you were unaware, if you look for the standard documentation that's available on the Sublime webpage by going to support and then API documentation or just documentation, that URL has a /3 in the middle for Sublime 3. You could replace the 3 with a 2 if you wanted to look at really old Sublime documentation. And if you remove the 3/ entirely, you get the new documentation, which, much like build 4070 whatever that I've got going here, I think this is isn't publicly linked out there yet because this build isn't publicly available yet, and it includes stuff that the current versions of Sublime don't have. But that documentation is more up to date on a lot of things, and as we just saw there, it also allows you to filter out things based on whether you want development type things or not. So this functionality has actually been in here apparently for 9 builds. I don't remember that. I remember it being a little bit newer than that. Let's go ahead and create a new plugin, shall we? Let's wish we could type and create a new plugin. We can leave that as that. We'll leave that as example. What is that actually going to do right now? Do I still have? I got another plugin floating around somewhere with an example command in it. That is uncool. Let's do this. Input handler tests. All right. How long has this been laying around? I'll just disable that for the time being, just to make sure that there's nothing too crunky that goes here. Then that key will trigger this command, which we will make an application command because they're redoing something in the Sublime window. Of course, there's one with that name. We'll give it something like that. So this will not run as is because only text commands get an edit argument, but probably could have tested that in a smarter way. Whoops. Say, for example, that we might want to actually print something like that. Okay. So Sublime dot open, play with open dialog first. Yeah. Which is going to get a callback and then file types and directory and multi select and allow folders. So let's go ahead and say we want to print. The thing we had there previously was just a simple lambda, because when this thing triggers, it's going to tell us what was selected by the user. So if we push escape, we can see we get a none printed down there. Okay, I've added Chrome to the path and created a build system for HTML, and if I manually select that build, it opens. But if I use selector star.html, it doesn't open up. I think the selector you want for that would be text.html. Did you actually try text.html or did you use star.html? If not, text.html will do it for you. And text.html.basic will make it literally only work for an HTML file. But I believe if we did something like this, text.html.markdown would trigger for a markdown file. And PHP, no, I don't think so. I think that's different now. But yeah, I would try with the scope text.html. That should work. There's a video on the channel where I played with that, and it worked for me for that particular one. That one also shows you how to do the same thing with to have the one build system work across all of the possible operating systems if, like me, you use Sublime across multiple platforms. All right. We won't worry about that. So far, so good. So forget the name of the file. Now, the next thing we can play here with is file types, which it says a specification of allowed file types. Let's try something else first. This is popping up in just a random directory. Hopefully that works for you, Victor. The directory of the current view, is that what this is actually in? No, it's actually opening in the recent folder, isn't it? What if I said directory equals sublime.packages path? That does not quite do. Yes, source is more for programming languages unofficially, and text is more for text and markup type things. Although there's nothing that says that that necessarily has to be the case. For example, PHP is embeddable. It's sort of meant to be inside of one of the other types. I'm kind of surprised that does not seem to do what one would expect. It didn't complain, but that might be because GTK is a giant butt. Let's try something a little simpler there. A stir of the directory to open the file. Whoa, did that wrap funny, or am I cut something off there? Oh, it just doesn't want to show me a scroll bar. Well, that's handy. Yeah. if not specified. Okay, multi-select. Well, let's try this one first. Now, if I try to select multiple things, it doesn't like that. I could select multi-select to be true. Yeah, let's try that first. Multi-select equals true. That also does not seem like it works. Oh. 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 I see what I did there. How about this? Stop it. Result is equal to this. Should be fine. And then we can say, just to verify that I'm not doing something too dumb there. Yeah, that seems to be working better. I'm multi-selecting now. It's opening in the packages folder. It got none. Oh, because I said I wanted multi-select, it is returning back a list. So if I pick that, oh, I'm not picking files here, so it's not allowing them per se. So we can do something like yaw and have it pull out, and it tells you the full path to the files. That's fantastic. I've worked with systems like this in the past where you had to remember what directory, or it tells you a directory and then lists the files that are relative to it. I can't remember what that was. I think it was like a, not necessarily a home rolled GUI operation, but sort of like a standard library. I think for use in a game, I think they were trying to make things a little faster. A bool to indicate that the user should be allowed to select folders. Let's try that, because if I took this out and did this, if I tried to pick HTML, it won't let me. It'll just go inside, and then it's showing me files. If I said I wanted to allow folders true and did it, if I pick C++, I guess that is not quite as cool as it could be. You have to pick that and pick open. Did I spell that incorrectly? No. A bool to indicate that the user should be allowed to select folders. Well, that really seems like it should be doing something. Let's try this one first. Allow, file types equals a list of tuples. So we could say Python startup hi. If I hit this, then the only thing that should appear as files is plugins. Although that is totally showing me a Sublime color scheme file. So it's hard to say if I'm doing something not quite correct here, or this is one of those things that maybe doesn't work as cool under Linux as it does under Windows. I would guess that one, because Windows file dialogues often have that selector at the bottom where you get to select the type of file you're trying to open. And I suspect that is what this is trying to tell it. Although I should still be able to open a folder, I would have thought. If I wanted to choose a folder to open, it should allow me to do that. I'm going to do it this way instead so that the code looks a little bit nicer. Should still work the same regardless. Encryptorizer is a package that could totally use something like this for choosing a file that you'd like to open, and then instead from your plugin, instead of having to have you open up a file and then try to decrypt it. What would really be nice is a way to mark a buffer as not dirty, realistically. But that's neither here nor there. Present to user with the dialog for the purposes of saving a file. Works mostly the same. So, oh, there's a, oh, I see. Multi-select says allow folders, a bool to indicate the user should be allowed to select folders, which is not working there, but select folder dialog will totally do the thing that we want. So we might say, for example, oops, well, didn't need to do that. We don't need to do that neither. Oh, interesting. Technically, I wonder if you could call that without actually passing that in. And this dot selected, and then we could say directory equals sublime dot packages path. We wanted to have the person select, say, a packages folder. We don't want it to be multi-select, so we could say multi-select equals false for something like this. Whoops. Did I? I did. I've been doing a lot of programming in JavaScript and TypeScript lately, so here we go for that. So we're trying to choose folders here, and that is totally working. That is boss. Kind of surprised about that one not quite doing the thing. Just reading the documentation here, there doesn't seem to be a lot of difference between open dialog and save dialog call-wise, but again, that's probably due to platform variations because those are very different things on Windows as opposed to Linux. Let's check that into again. Importing time, plugins may not call API functions with the exception of, so it looks like that particular thing was fixed. That's been around for a while. Present user with a file dialog, file dialog, file dialog. That looks like the big thing there. And that, oh, no, that's different. There's new documentation for format command. Let's double check that. Bring that back over here so we can see it on this one. Format command is new. Create a command string from a string and a command name and optional dictive args. This is used when constructing a command-based completion item and creates a Subble protocol URL. Yeah, that's handy. Yeah, let's check that out. Because, whoops, that's not the thing we want to be looking at here. I'll leave that open for the time being, though. One of the things you can do with the new auto completion system is execute a command in response to a completion item being selected. So instead of just having static text, you could invoke a command that does something more complex, like with the state of the buffer or something along those lines, which is new in the Sublime Text 4000 build series and the builds that aren't publicly released yet. And one of the things you can do there is create a command string. You used to be able to call it with a constructor, but generally I think you end up with something like echo this. Oops. So you end up with a string that has the name of the command and then the JSON encoded arguments, but it looks like there's a new thing here. So we can say sublime.format command. And if the command was echo and the argument stick was sample true, oh, is that not, is it a window thing? Sublime module. Oh, there's too many M's in there. So yeah, that's the sort of thing this is the one that I hand constructed, and there's that one. A lot easier to have it create something like that for you. What I am interested in though is command URL. Whoops, because maybe we could play with that a little bit. The URL that you would use in, this is used when constructing a command-based completion item. Oh, yeah. What was that? Oh, no, that's cool. And has anybody watching noticed if there's a lower third that's popping in and out? Because it's very small over there. Theoretically, I set it up correctly, but hard to say. Create a subtle protocol URL for executing a command in a mini HTML link. So that might be fun to play with because I've never actually. That takes us to the different types of protocols for things. There used to be, in the very first builds of Sublime, let's say, new HTML sheet. I mean, I could just look it up in the documentation, couldn't I? Window new HTML sheet, yeah. So window.new HTML sheet with sample sheet, and let's say empty link thusly, and we don't care about the other stuff. We are going to capture the sheet. That's going to create us one of these new HTML sheets, which just uses regular mini HTML. So you could use this for any one of a variety of things. For example, if we looked at this, one of the things that Override Audit will show you is this little hover pop-up with all of this HTML to tell you about your packages. And then you can trigger commands by clicking on these things in here. These are working by assigning, in the particular instance of a pop-up, assigning some text in there. Actually, why not just look at the documentation? Oops. Show pop-up. One of the things that you can provide is on content. There's one other item in here on navigate, and if you provide that, then every time a link is clicked, that thing will be triggered with the text of the link so that you know what link was actually followed, and it would be up to you to do some sort of handling there. And in the context of Override Audit, for example, that's how these are working. So each of these are links with a very specific string that's associated with them, and then a function gets called, and then it knows which, based on the thing you clicked, which one of these you wanted it to be, for example, to create an override report. Maybe somebody walking in my hallway, my dog is very upset. But one thing we can do now with, is that in, Sublimerge. Yeah, Sublimerge gets angry about that sort of thing. That's no big deal. One of the things we can do now when we create mini HTML is actually put links in there in a different way. So say, for example, we could do something like this, and then we need to use that new thing that I was just looking at there, command URL. So we could say sublime.command URL for echo, and the arguments are link clicked, say, for example, true. You can do whatever you want in there. I guess we would. Yeah, I heard you. Thanks. This would be something along those lines. We're going to get a new sheet as a result of that. I could have updated the content in that. I captured it for that specific reason. So in this one, when you click it, nothing happens. But in this one, when you click it, it runs the echo command. We can see that triggering down there. And imagine you have any sort of command that you like for something like that. Let's take a quick look at HTML sheet. Window view file name. Oh, I think it's just set contents. So let's go ahead and close that one. So that should swap the content of that for something else, right? Okay, so let's please stop making that noise. s.setContent, and we're going to pass in this. But instead of doing that, we could just, say run the command open. We don't even need any arguments for something like that. And then we hit the thing. Oh, shoot. Excuse me. Now when I click this link, the file open dialog would theoretically happen. Let's see. Unless that is not what that command is actually called. Well, that's intriguing. What the hell would that be called? Prompt open file. Right. All right. Well, we can fix our code. Prompt open file. That's a good example of how you can look up information. One way I could have done that is turning on command logging and then executing the command. But if you know it's going to be in the menu, it's pretty easy to just go and find it. If I click the link now, it's going to prompt me for a file to open, and then I could actually open said file. Wonder what this image is. Oh, look, it's a teeny tiny sample image. Cool. So that's a neat little addition to the functionality of things. Text point changed to have a clamp. Let's take a look at that because people have been talking about that for a while. Calculates the character offset of the given zero-based row call. Ah, yes. A bool if call should be restricted to valid values for the given row. I think, pardon me, we could see a little something like that happening here. When you call text point, and I would imagine this is a view method, so we're going to need an actual view, like say this one. View.textPoint should do something. And if we said 0, 0, the result that comes back is 0 because it's converting a column and a row, or a line and a row, to a view offset. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, for example. Pardane. What? You don't need to growl. I know there's someone in the hallway, okay? Thanks, bro. He likes to keep me safe. So this allows you to take any character row and column and give you back the actual point. So if we wanted to know I'm going to double check here, it's row 0 or line 1, if you will, column, say 10 is the point 10, and so on. Now, if we said 100, we get 100. So the position of the character on line 0, position 100, is 100, but there's not that many characters actually in here. But if we were to call this with true, then it, oops, pardonnez-moi. Text point takes 3, but 4 were given. Are you sure? That doesn't look like 4. That looks like 3. Let me double check this. Sublime.view, row call, clamp, column. 3 position, but 4 were given. That's intriguing. That does not seem like something that should actually happen. No, sir, it does not. Let's open that one, shall we? And then go. What's the star doing in there? You need to specify that as clamp column equals true to get it to work. That doesn't seem like a... That is not something I have come across previously. But oh yeah, I think I have, now that I think I have seen that clamp column. I'm getting a lot of duplicated keys. So now it's saying 14 because that's actually how wide this thing is. This is position 15, which it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 14 because it's a zero counting and not a 1 counting. Does the documentation represent that? That seems like a very weird way. I think I'm no Python guru, but I think that star in there is a way of indicating that that's the end of positional arguments, and then all arguments after that have to be keyword arguments. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that would be the case. Have you ever wondered why you're not allowed in here when I'm recording videos? That's why. But that is still handy. A little something to remember. When I add this to the, I'd probably double check that with the magic of Python. I wonder. Same there. All right. Good enough. Keep it on Python 3.8 though. Otherwise, we'll be confused later. Text point, text point, text point, clamp column. Added in build 745. Yeah, we just figured that one out. Oh, that looks nice. Let's check into that. Just double check. A new item called show. Well, not new, sorry. The keep to left argument is new. A bool if the view should be kept to the left if horizontal scrolling is possible. Let's see if we can show you an example of how something like that might work. So say we had, we've got a bunch of files open here. Let's get rid of that thing and this thing here. Create a new buffer, lorem it up, and then join all the lines, like so. I'm not sure exactly whereabouts we might split that, because I have seen this, but it's kind of tricky to remember exactly what situation it might trigger in. So if we said view.cell0.b, that's position 174, where the cursor is right now. So then we scroll this all the way down so that we can't see that anymore, and then say view.show 174 is a position. It squirts up. Didn't actually move. Oh, I guess it wouldn't, would it? I wish I could remember in what situation I've seen this, because I have enough, or I will kick you out. I have seen this before. You've probably also seen it as well if you're like scrolling around and you search over and suddenly the whole viewport is switched to the left a little bit. I mean, like so. But even if it doesn't necessarily have to be, for example, what if I did this? Keep left equals true. Is that what it was called? No, of course not. Keep 2 left. See it, position 174 in the buffer is actually visible somewhere around here. So you could actually see this with column 1 visible, and it's still possible to see it here. It's somewhere over here. This is position 174. So if the cursor is all the way over here and we asked it to please show us position 174, it doesn't have to do anything because technically that position is actually available. But if we added the true on there, then it knows it should squirt it over, which is real nice. I don't think the only time I ever use something like this is in HyperHelp, but their help files are constrained to be 80 columns, so it's not as much of an issue. That could be one of those examples of things that trigger for newer builds, for example. What else? Show surrounds. Yeah. I think that's the bottom, huh? Oh, underline was added to get style. Oh, what's this now? Keep on selection modified. Oh, I think there's some, maybe. Yeah, add regions has some new actions here. Oh, no, that's not what that was. Hide the pop-up when a character is typed. No, that's a different thing. A little more context on that one. This is view.getStyle. Or view.style, sorry. I guess it would just be called style in here. Or style for scope, I should say. Accepts a string scope and returns addictive style information, includes the keys. You can have stippled and squiggly underlines in color schemes now. Let's give it a try. All right. Right. That one. I have no glow in here. Am I sure? Oh, I need the one from my user folder. So the thing, what makes my glowing Python entities glow is this. So, oops, I guess I probably should have carried that over, huh? Like so. So if I was to comment that line out, those things should stop glowing, I would have thought. I think I need to switch my color scheme back to the one that I'm used to using. I'm gonna, yeah. Oh, my eyes. Come on, Kai. Oh, because that'll be a little bit easier on the eyes. This one, that's what controls whether or not that is glowing or not. So those are glow. We can make them underlined if we wanted to. We could stipple underline them if we want to. That's actually kind of neat. What was the other one? Squiggly underline. A squiggly underlined. That's actually kind of a nice operation. You could use it. I bet you this has something to do with one of the things that Will mentioned in the Discord was the idea of working with build systems in a way that allows you to capture the file names and error locations and errors out of it via syntax definitions instead of the current single or pair of regular expressions, because those really assume a lot of specificity in the types of error messages that can be generated. First file column or error message, file column, line, and then you could use one for the other thing and pick up the file name from a different location. But he mentioned the idea of what if a build system could have rules in its syntax definition, then if they used a specific predefined scope, Sublime could pull out to get the same information and group it together, which would make build systems able to work with any sort of error output and capture it, even if it was spread over multiple lines. Now that the 4000 build series has the idea of branches in syntax definitions. But if that was the case, then it would be really handy to have the ability to add squiggly underlines or stippled underlines under things that appear to be errors so that they could be highlighted inside of build system output. That is actually pretty neat. I like that. Whoops. Don't do that, bro. Sorry, I meant to do that. And that. So let's see. We don't need this anymore. And we don't need that anymore. No, cancel it. Thank you. Whoops. I mean, close without saving. Thank you. That is actually kind of neat. There was something I wanted to fix in here. For that, I think we need to do a little bit of this action. Yeah, reload it. I got an untitled plugin hooping around somewhere. Wow, I even have a to-do list open in here. Don't have many files, do I? Okay, what's this? Probably nothing I'm interested in at this point. Let's close a bunch of this stuff up for the time being, because life will be a little bit easier that way. Huh. I must have been playing with phantoms at some point, I guess. But the thing I was looking for was, oops, sorry, that's not the help view. This is the help view. Look up symbol in index, look up references in view symbol. This view.indexed symbol doesn't exist, but indexed symbols does. So that, oops, should have an S on the end of it. And if it did, then that would bump out, but the lint would fail, I would imagine. If I linted this file, indexed symbol, oh yeah. So then we need to edit the help index and look for indexed symbol. like so, and reload that. No problems there. And reload that. And then if we said indexed, oops, indexed symbols is that one, and that's actually the thing. That's one thing I noticed is wrong. There was something else recently I noticed was not quite right, and I can't remember what it was. I had a note written down in a temporary buffer in one of the many Sublime Text windows spread across my computers at the point at which I noticed it. Yeah, I know, I'm just cracking my knuckle. That's okay. So that is not too shabbaroni. Okay, what to do next? Wish I could remember what that thing was to fix it. One of the things that I've also wanted to do for a while is the inserting images into help with image tags, but I don't necessarily know that I want to tackle that right now per se either. Wow. According to the stream monitor, it's taking 0% CPU, which is an inherent lie, unless I'm not actually live right now. Kind of looks like I am, though. I'm totally moving in that thumbnail. That's weird. Yeah. I am going to hang on here just a second. Bear with me. Yeah. All right. Hmm. Alrighty. That seems to be okay. Just double checking some stuff on the side there, making sure things are still seeming to be working as per usual. Well, that's one thing. Well, maybe we will say, let's see. Don't necessarily care about changes in the CSS. And, oh, shoot. Right. That's ls star slash star. That's going to find us just the stuff we're interested in, right? Yeah. Git add those. Now we just need to just those. Yeah. Substitute. Whoops. No, huh? There's an interesting little kajig there. Just doing a little bit of a yeah. Whoa, where's my mouse cursor? How about we do a little bit of this? Oh, is that a tab? Ah, tabs making everybody's life terrible since forever. There's probably a cooler way to do this, but you know. We hack with how we go. Okay, so let us, should we just check this in and then use the thing locally? I think that's probably the way to go, huh? No, huh? Oh. Should be okay. And then we need to do this to make sure that it didn't change today, because my spider job doesn't trigger if there are still pending changes from the previous day. So we need to see, did anything change between yesterday and today that might require additional work in here? Documentation appears to be unchanged. So we would say API inclusions from build 4075 onwards. I think that was the correct thing there. Whoops. 4070. No, I guess it was 4075. We can fix it. We can make it better. And we can push. And whoops. And then we can look at this to see exactly what has changed in a little bit of a nicer diffy kind of way. I normally have a window like yaw open on the other side over there. So this is, oh, did I not push that to GitHub? I thought I did. Oh, this one probably doesn't understand that. Hang on. I'll just do that. There we go. Sometimes working on multiple computers can screw you up like that. Looking at things that were changed. Don't care, don't care. Anything CSS related is unlikely to be interesting to me because I don't know nothing about no HTML. That's just the style sheet changing, and 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 the style sheet changing. Yep. Nothing cool. Nothing, excuse me, new there, even though maybe there should be, because as we just saw, oh, sorry, that's this one here. That's legacy color schemes, yes, but color schemes themselves do have 2 new items. So What I would normally do for something like this, and I can show you over here, is go here, click to the file in items, which it points out here. This is updated, and the things that I know are new are this. It's listed as a it's listed as a bracket option here for stippled underline. We could actually get a little bit of a better sense of that here now by, oops, zoom in. Oh, it's not the one I meant to fiddle. Scroll it up. The text color when selected. Selection foreground just as font style in general. So that could be seen here. Font style. 4050 they added glow, 4074 they added underlined, and 75 and they added those two. So what I would do is come over here to yaw and pick color scheme. Now I guess that might not be in that particular thing, would it? We can do it this way. Color schemes index, and that would be font. No. Set style rules. So yeah. What file is this in? Rules.txt. Okay, so over here we want, oops, that one. Font style 0 or more of the following separated by spaces. And previously we had bold underline or bold italic glow underline. Now we can do this and say those are 75 and this is stippled underline and this is squiggly underline, and then we pad those out. That doesn't require any sort of index change, and according to this, that's the only change that happened in this file. Now, if we were to look in this one, if I look for, whoops, stippled, oh man, there's one here under brackets, tags. Sorry, where's the, there's 4 of these here. There's that one under bracket contents, tags, and font style. Will we find 4 of those in here though? No, we will not. Let's see. No, those ones are under global, and this one's under rules. Right on. So that's all we need for that. And then if we had, I'm kind of surprised that I did not create links for these. That may be a job, however, for another day. So here we are in this file. If I reloaded this, we got the new one. So that's the only change that we care about for that. Build systems was just a CSS change. And then here we can see what was changed for API reference, which is a fair number of things. The first one is that. So let's see. We bring this one back. We need to, pardon me, go back to the API documentation. May not call with the exception of, are these links now? No. Version, platform, arch, and channel. And I don't think that's what was there before. I think we go back one and again and again. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do. Plugin lifecycle, version, platform, arch, and channel. Version, platform, arch, and channel. That does look the same, but I think I added that in there because it was definitely something that was possible, even though that is really hard to see. Oh yeah, it said arch instead of architecture. That's what's new, because the Sublime.arch is not the name of a thing, and we can see that. Wait, did he redacted it and made it wrong? Wait, what? Now I'm all confused. This is the old one where it said architecture. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was backwards before. Sublime.arch is that. So it said architecture, but it shouldn't. But that's something that I fixed in mind because I knew that that was totally a thing. So that's nothing we care about for our purposes here. CSS we don't care about. We do care about the code for open dialog, though. Fair bit of action going on in that. Quite a bit, as a matter of fact. Holy moly. There's a few of them in there. So if we scroll that back up a little, yep, the thing that we care about is open dialog. So what I generally do is something like this, open dialog. And then we take this information and scooch it across. Yeah, open, save, and select folder are three new things that are very similar to each other. So I would pull that over here. We're done with that. Done with that and that. This would be sublime.text here, I think. And then we go yes, no, cancel dialog. So sublime.openDialog for arguments of callback and file types and directory and, oh, you know what? I probably should have did that a different way. I think we probably want something like this. And then we can, there we go, set up the appropriate editing jiggies in here. So it goes file type, directory, multi-select. Then we would wrap her around, say, oops, allow folders like so. Returns none according to that. Earlier in the video when we were playing with that, I kept printing the value of it when I should have just been printing the value passed to the callback. And we need, I think what we should do is a little something like this. Join that up. because I believe our policy is to do something like so. 2 characters on. So we might go like so, but it's actually build 4075 that it's interested in doing something like that. Returns none, and turn on that so we can see this. And then we would wrap her up and wrap that in so. Now, what we need here is an example of something that takes a bunch of parameters, and I try to keep these as, whoa, yeah, similar as possible for readability reasons. But I don't edit them super often because the documentation doesn't change super often. So what we need is an example of this. So it would line up with the text of that, would it not? Okay, so I would say, oh, that went too far. There we go. And let's see. Callback. And keep looking over there like I file types directory and multi-select and allow folders. Thusly, that one's missing a thing. Okay. And then I guess we do a little bit of this action. I don't think I was doing it that way last time. Let's undo that. So I think what we want, something like this. Whoops. Copy that and paste her in here. I believe we need to do that or bad stuff will happen. And the styling on this indicates none will be passed or a stir. So we need to cut that down. And multi-select is going to have to carry it over. True. And we also want those to be wrapped as well. And of course, this one unhappily is, yeah, whoops. Hey. Here, list and tuples are the things that are wrapped, and star, a stir containing a description and a list of stir with valid file extensions. And then there is an example, something like so. So that would be, that is considered to be JSON? I don't think so. Python, if anything, I would imagine. But I don't think I have a... I guess I do. And then directory is this one. Let's go ahead and do a little of these all at one time. These are going to go a lot quicker in just a second because most of these, this is an example of how keep left is sort of a handy operation. Okay, and that one. Directory is a stir. And this is a bool. And that's a bool. But it doesn't need to do anything. Okay, and then we would copy all of this bad boy. 1 line, 2 lines to here. And this would be save dialog with callback file types directory name and extension. Returns none. Presents the user with a file dialog for the purpose of saving a file and passes the result to callback. A callback to accept the result of the user's choice. If the user cancels, the dialog num will be passed. If a file is selected, a stir containing the path will be passed. There's no multi-select when you're saving a file, because if you want to save it to more than one file, use save as. We don't need to worry about that. Specification of allowable file types. File type should be a list containing 2 element tuples. Example looks the same. Directory, a stir to open the file dialog to. If not specified, we'll use the directory of the current view. Stir with the default file name. So this would be name, oops, not Bane, well, Bane of existence, and extension. This is stir with the default file name. That's going to be nice and easy to throw in here. And stir with the default file extension. Let me throw that over like so. And lastly, one more of these, but this one will be select folder dialog with a callback and a directory and a multi-select. So that will go away. That is an unfortunate circumstance. Because that cuts that over a little bit too much. We're going to have to tighten that just a little bit because I don't want to run that around. Purpose of selecting a folder and passes the result to callback. And then a callback to accept the result of the user's choice. If the user cancels, the dialog num will be passed. If a folder is selected, a stir containing the path will be passed. To a list of stir folder paths will be passed. And I bet you that is going to trip now. Yeah. And then we don't have file types, but we do have directory. Stir directory, open the file dialog to. If not specified, we'll use the directory of the current view. And then multi-select. We don't have allow folders. So that's the whole of changes that were made there. And if we were to check over here, we went back one. I can reload this and search forward. Here's open dialog with the stuff that we just added. We might need to size this down a little bit to make that more equal to the task. There's the action that we just added, and oops, there's that one and that one. Now there's issues with this because if we were to do a little bit of this, we can see exactly what's going on here. These things are found in the sublime.txt file, but they're not found in the index. So those are all things that need to be modified. And clicking on that shows you the locale for that. And then we can say sublime.yes/no/cancel dialog. So we can copy, paste, 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 and then say one there, and one there. Copy, and then we go, oops, pardon me, those ones, and those ones. We reload the index, and then relint, all is well. And as a result of that, from here we could say dialog, and see there's a message and open a save, OK, cancel folder, and jump directly to it, which is what we want. We'll go ahead and save that. Run that lint again just to make sure everything's still cool, and then we can swap over to this, and we have some things that are changed here. That's new. That setting might need some tweaking. Let's see. I don't remember that irritating me previously. I'll worry about that later. So in the index, we added open, save, and select folder. We definitely did that. We fixed a problem with index symbol to be indexed symbols, so that actually looks up. That's something I discovered when I was helping somebody on the forum. We modified the actual help file for those 3 new things. We can stage those up. That is all the changes we have for that. Let's paste this into here like so. New dialog. Include new dialog. I should probably have done that as 2 commits, huh? Maybe we'll fix that on stage. All right, is that not staged? I thought I did. I didn't actually modify. I did modify the Sublime module, stage that one. So we modified the Sublime module for that. Notice the HyperHelp authoring tools automatically update the date for things to keep things up to date. We updated the index, updated the rules, and let's stage that as well. And we'll leave that one alone. So jump back to here. In recent builds, this includes the new dialog methods that allow plugins to prompt the user to select files to load, open and save so that they can path has the ability to select folders. In addition, some new font options were added to font styles in the form of different forms of underlined text. The dog's being subversive. He left the room and now he's barking out there. And we'll leave all of those in and commit those 3, and then we can stage this one. Oh, shoot. Did I not fix the index for that, or did I accidentally check it into this one? I did, didn't I? Well, in that case, we will do a little bit of that, and also piggybacking in, whoops, small change that fixes to the view help because symbols was incorrect. Oop, we need to labeled as indexed symbol. There we go. Save that one. And then what we can do, there's not a change log in this, is there? I think there's only one in the core, so we don't need to worry about that here. 0.0.13. We can, oh, wait a minute. What did I say? 0.0.13. Right. And push, and push. Which will release that out to other people that are using the package, including potentially Victor Vicky, who may be using this to make his plugins a little bit nicer now. That's really all I had planned for the evening, but we still got a little bit of time here. I haven't been able to check if the magic of that thing is happening. What I did want to check, though, OBS is now using 1.5% of my memory, even though its indication of how much memory it thinks it's using has not changed since I started this. There's every possibility that the new browser source that I added to this may be leaking a little bit of memory in its JavaScript implementation. Over the course of a couple hour stream, that's probably not a big deal. I was really stress testing it all in one long run, just prior to the stream, because I was a little bit concerned about something like that. More concerned that I don't entirely know what I'm doing when I'm doing JavaScript. Seemed like it was right, but a lot of things when you're laying stuff out seem like they are doing the right thing until suddenly they are not. Alrighty. No. I don't think there's anything more hyper help related to do right now. We can, however, whoops, that is over there. We'll close that tab just to get it out of the way, potentially. And just double check, anybody asking any questions over here? Oop. Performance problem in Sublime Merge. Oh, up here. Pardon me. Does anyone know if the live reload plugin is still working? I installed it and it refreshes upon saving, but I get a 405 method not allowed when I point the browser to blah. Maybe there's a better package which I should use. If not, I'm going to have to use VS Code since their live reload works out of the box. Don't want to use VS Code. I've never used live reload, but let's give it a try. We will, for the purposes of this, quit out of that. And we can hide Discord for the time being. Whoops. Well, oh, I guess that doesn't work, does it? Thunk. We will hide Discord for the time being. Thank you. Don't have a good way to generate. Yeah. Which one of these is newer? Of course. Right. Okay, so that one can go away. So we can do this. SC2 minus B latest minus P text. Oops. 3210, you say? There we go. I need to fix my script up because it doesn't work with the 4000 series of builds. Let's see. Install package. Loading repositories. The problem with having a sandbox copy of Sublime is having to download a lot of cache information. Be sure to restart Sublime Text to start using this new version. Okay. Visit this. Okay. Kind of expected more documentation. Live reload was forked from a Sublime Text 2 version. It's 35 commits ahead and was last modified 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Run package control, install package. Did it. Find and install live reload. Restart editor if required. Manual install, don't care. Enable desired plugins via command palette. Add livereload.js to your HTML document. Okay, so I guess Control-Shift-P. Available plugins. Oh, did he actually say what it was he was doing there? It refreshes upon saving. On post compile. Simple reload from get request. Reloads on page. I have a server running on that port, do I? So let's see. Live reload. Self-test. Oh. That's not, that is what we would refer to in the business as suboptimal. That and the fact that it is triggering the wrong thing. Okay, don't do that then. Enable, disable plugins. Simple reload, refresh page when file is saved. I guess I gotta do that on an actual HTML file, don't I? So let us say I'm the body text. Save it as, oh yeah, that's where we want to put that. We want to put that in the root. Untitled, sure, that'll be cool. And then we will do a little bit of that and a little bit of this. Nope. Using enable desired plugins, add this to the document. So we're going to hit that. Doesn't say where to put it, so let's put it there. Doesn't really document too much how this is actually supposed to work, does it? Oh, did I enable the plugin? I probably didn't, did I? Live, reload, enable, disable plugins, refresh page when file is saved. What does that do? So let's see. I see why people potentially have problems with this. In the list of things that are documented in a way that makes sense, not that great. Victor is asking, is there a way for pair programming in Sublime? Because we're working on a project and we need to work together at the same time for effective improvement in project. Would love to hear your knowledge. There is a package that has been around for a while. I'm not sure if it's actually, let's see, oh, it's too dunk, called Flubit, which is real-time collaboration. I've never used it myself. It was last used a couple of years ago, which theoretically does something like this. There's information in here on how to figure it out and compile it. That said, if I was to ignore over there for just a moment, I can't remember. There is a person named Terminal that you can talk to in the Sublime Text Discord. I believe he's also on the forum. I can't quite remember. I think his name is the same there. Or on the forum, I think he's Terminal Seceng. But he is working on a package for doing the same sort of thing, remotely connecting multiple things together, and it's currently in sort of a rough preview. I'm just looking here to see if I can find a link, because I noticed that I remember just a few days ago, he mentioned it. Da-da. Stream the visible, markup. If there was a way to look for GitLab.com. Okay, I'm going to click this. And mute this, bung that out. This is theoretically an example of this thing working. I haven't actually checked it out yet myself. But he's currently working on this sort of action. So the idea is one person would be the host, and then someone else or multiple other people can connect to it and do stuff. He's currently running the server himself, but you can also run your own version of it if you'd like. It's currently in preview. I think it's roughly working. There's probably still more coolness to be done on there, and I guess this would more or less be the link to such thing. Encryption is planned but not implemented. Known bugs. But yeah, it's not official yet. But if this is something that's definitely coming along, he's gotten some help from people in the Discord and such. So this is something to follow in that regard. But those are the only two things that I'm aware of: FluBits and Live Session, which for some reason's on. I think he's eschewing GitHub in favor of GitLab. He's also responsible, incidentally, for some pull requests to package control, one of which to add GitLab as a potential source of packages, and another to fix the problem if you use Mac OS and Big Sur. Apple did something to that breaks package control. He implemented a fix because he's on the bleeding edge of things. Um, those are the only two things that I'm aware of in that, but I've never used either of them specifically. Generally speaking, whenever I need to collaborate with a developer, I usually just say, "Hey, you, come here," and he stands over my shoulder. Or we do a screen share. We don't both try to modify code at the same time. Um, we are both old school, gray beardy kind of people in that regard, though. Mm, enable desired plugins. Maybe this script needs to be in a different part of the document. Maybe it needs to be in the head of the document. The thing is, it's a little unclear as to, let's see, does that provide any help at all? No. Add live reload to your HTML document. You can also use one of the extensions listed here. Okay. Compile, less preprocessor. No problem, Victor. Hopefully that is some amount of help. Those sorts of things are starting to become a little more popular now. If you're not already a member of the Discord, could be a good idea to go in there. You get tracked on stuff like that. If he's talking about it terminal, it'll come up there. And also, if you're if you have a license for Sublime Text, you can use the new Sublime Text 4 builds. It's not really going to be Sublime Text 4. They're dropping the version number, but there's a lot of enhancements to it. That particular package potentially might only be Sublime Text 4 because I think he wants to use Python 3.8, and that's only possible in that one, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I don't think that's the right port, but I don't know. Maybe we should actually check the preferences for this thing, huh? Settings default. Well, there's not a lot of stuff in here. That file just has nothing in it. Does this do anything different? Simple reload with delay. Wait 400 milliseconds and refresh the page when file is saved. That's the one that I enabled, right? I'm sure. Oops. Not in that one, but in this one. All right. This package is particularly inscrutable. We might actually have to look at the code. I use a shared license from random GitHub. Can I still move to SD4? Well, theoretically, yes, but there's a list of known shared license keys, and if the developers discover that someone has compromised their key, it'll be added to the list of ones that are redacted, and then it'll refuse to work. But Technically, all you need is a license that's valid for Sublime Text 3, and then it'll work in the new builds. The new builds basically count as development builds in the standard sense. So only licensed users have the ability to test this stuff out. I think in order to figure out what the hell this thing is doing, we have to resort to actually looking at the code. And I might need to maximize the window. Command API compass. Make live reroll work with ST4. Your license will probably still work, but that's just something to keep in mind. If there's a license that has been compromised, then the developers eventually track onto it. It gets added to the list of license keys that Sublime won't support or won't consider valid, I guess. So when you get your license, make sure you don't share it with anybody, because that can make you the sad. Start server. Yeah. Did it actually say what port it started on when it said it was starting? I mean, that's probably an issue. Let's restart this and see. Live reload. Added file. Boop boop. That just seems to be automatically configured now. I know I've used this in the past. Oh, neat. 35729. Always the same port number, huh? Method not allowed. I probably don't need 2 copies of that in there, huh? This plugin might be inscrutably bad. That's all we got, huh? Actually, I think what we probably want is that. Come on, snap, you dingus. Thank you. And anything? Turns out yes. Let's do that. Oh, it's actually doing something. It's just not reflected in the window. That's kind of a kick in the butt. That's also very large text. Oh. Live reload. Refresh page on. Oops. Now that I did that, would that link actually work? No. All right. I didn't think so. Is there a world in which a plugin that we should work on is live reload? All it really has to be is a web server that lets you view your page and then cause it to refresh. It really seems like this works, except that what it's telling the page to do, it's reloading, but it's not reloading, if you will. Wait 400 milliseconds and refresh when the file is saved. Okay. Has it been 400 milliseconds yet? Apply CSS live. I don't think that's what's currently enabled here, pal. Send file content to browser console, huh? Oh, well, let's see. I don't know what apply CSS live is supposed to be doing, but I imagine not what one might have expected. What's the magic for moving the console to another location? There we go. Dock to the bottom, pal. Make life better. Console sources network. We need to, oh yeah, we can't clear that, can we? Unmodified async, send raw. Simple callback object has no attribute, send raw. Well, I mean, that's probably an issue, huh? This code seems broken in the extreme. Doesn't always say that, though. That's interesting. So I guess what we were seeing there with it reloading was actually just something different. I will go out on a limb and say that this package may possibly be broken, or possibly it might never have worked. It's certainly documented in such an incomprehensible fashion that good luck on you. I would imagine a smarter, cleverer way to pull something like this off would be to have a command in here that knows to show you the file over here. Maybe this isn't even the correct way to do this. Maybe I actually need to be serving it from my local server or something. I'd have no idea. But I do think that it is probably time to call this particular stream because we have gone a little bit over on what it was we were planning on pulling off. So I think we're going to go ahead and call her there. So we want this one. Haha! hopefully the audio sync isn't as bad as it seemed while I was testing earlier. Little bit of a stream here. I wanted to get back into the swing of it. I didn't really have much of an overarching development plan for stuff, just sort of playing around. Uh, I kind of had some ideas of things I was toying with earlier in the day, but work got in the way, and I ended up helping a coworker with some stuff and kind of ate my time up a little bit. Also, I'm dealing with some dental issues that were a little bit distracting. So I'm glad we managed to get to the end of the stream in one piece, such as it were. So we're going to go ahead and call it here. Remember, you can always subscribe to the channel if you want to know when live streams happen. As Victor can tell you, if you have questions about anything, you can drop those in the chat while it is on, and we will do our best to answer those for you to the best of my abilities. Anyway. And until next week's stream, which is scheduled for the same time next week, already pre-scheduled. Don't necessarily have a topic for that one yet. Possibly something override related if I have enough spare time to actually get my head together on what I want to do. Otherwise, probably more just random plugin playing stuff, fixing some plugins up for inclusion in the Scraps repository. If you have suggestions for something like that, drop those down in the comments section below. You can also do that thing where you hit me on Twitter. I have a key for that, but I don't know which one it is because I haven't done it in quite some time. But until the next live stream, this is OdatNurd asking you to please have a sublime day. And then I push the button down here, like so.